nothing quite like this has ever happened before in Chickenlandia. But when other things that have happened that have been tough, I've been faced with some really hard decisions. And I don't want to make those decisions. I really don't. But sometimes I have to for the sake of my flock. Hello friends, welcome to Chickenlandia. My name is Dahlia. I'm a backyard chicken educator, also known as the president of Chickenlandia. Raising chickens has been the best way for me to find peace and joy in my life, and I want to help you find that too. Okay, Bubba. Bubba is cranky about me holding him, probably because he's molting, so I'm going to put him down. Here you go. Yes, honey. Somebody asked me recently, do you ever want to give up? You know, does it ever get so hard, especially with all your rescues and illness and everything? And if I am being 100% honest, yes, sometimes things happen and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I just don't want to deal with this. And one of the hardest things about Chickenlandia is that, you know, this is my real life. You know, I really love my flock. I'm out here with them every day. This is my passion. It's not just something I do to make money or something for clout or to be on YouTube for. This is real for me. And when I am faced with hardship in the flock, there's always like this conflict going on as to whether or not I'm going to share it publicly, because sometimes I really don't want to. I really just don't want to. I don't want to deal with the comments, although they're far and few between, like negative comments. But anyway, I really felt like this was important because it could happen to one of you. And when I think about that, I'm like, okay, yes, I'm going to share it. One thing I want to say before I get completely into it, and I'm saying this because I don't want this situation to scare people away from keeping chickens. Something to understand about Chickenlandia is that I take in a lot of rescues. And when you take chickens in from many different places, every time you bring them in, you're elevating that risk for disease in your flock. You know, it's just the nature of chicken keeping. You can quarantine, but a quarantine will only do so much. It really will. There's diseases that chickens can carry and they don't show symptoms, and then you bring them into your flock and you will possibly end up with something in your flock you don't want to be there. I am willing to absorb that risk. I have gone into this knowing that risk, and I don't really rehome chickens. I've done it once. Well, no. At the very beginning, I rehomed a couple of roosters. But other than that, it was one time very recently, I rehomed my little rooster Bubble Yum to a friend of mine. But whenever I do that, I disclose that, hey, I got a lot of chickens from a lot of different places in my flock. So I just want to let you know that that is the case, because I think that's really important. I think that's the responsible thing to do. All right, so having said that, I want to tell you the story of what has occurred. About a month ago, I was really shocked and surprised because I lost 2 chickens very quickly. I lost a young chicken, and I hate to tell you guys this, but it was Beaker. And she just got sick, and in one day she died. It was so fast. I had made a vet appointment for her, and I couldn't even get her to the vet. She just died right away. And before I could even kind of deal with that, I had another chicken that fell ill, an older chicken, and she died very quickly. And I was like, what is going on? Like, that's not normal. So I kind of started bracing myself at that moment, because when you have more than one chicken die, you know, you got to start wondering, is something going on? Is something bigger going on? Well, I didn't even really have time to mourn the loss of those 2 chickens, because I think it was like the next day, my chicken Charlie, okay, my sweet chicken, she's a little black silky, her name is Charlie, she started looking off. And right when she started looking off, I was like, okay, that's it, I'm calling the vet right now. By that afternoon, Charlie was walking backwards and she was vomiting. And I don't have any footage of that. When I have a chicken that is sick, I don't pull out my camera and put the camera in their face. First of all, I'm like, in that moment, and I'm stressed out, and I'm trying to deal with them, and I'm putting all of my energy into dealing with them. And also, I just feel like it's disrespectful to do that to an animal that's suffering. You know, sometimes I will get a selfie or I'll take a little bit of footage, but just to record all of it, I don't like to do that. So I was able to get Charlie into the vet that afternoon. They can't always do that, but that time they were like, okay, just bring her in right now. And, you know, she was like having super gross poops. We got a fecal sample very quickly, and I was just sitting there talking to the vet, and I was like, is this Marek's? And if you don't know what Marek's disease is, it is a herpes virus that affects chickens. There are different strains of the virus. It can affect them in different ways, and it is very feared within the chicken community. Marek's is everywhere. It really is everywhere, at least in the United States. And, I've just always assumed that I have a Marek's positive flock because I've brought in chickens from so many different places. And so that's why I'm really resistant to rehome any chickens. And also, like, once chickens come into Chickenlandia, you get to stay here till you die, okay? I was really worried. I was like, is this Marek's disease? He was like, this doesn't look like Marek's to me. This honestly looks like some kind of like toxicity. Like, it looks like she's been poisoned. I was just racking my brain, trying to figure out what my chickens could have possibly been exposed to. And I'm like, was there mold somewhere? Could it be botulism? The idea did cross my mind of like rat poison or something, or like, a contaminated mouse getting into the yard. But my neighbors don't really do that. And I don't think anybody would purposely put poison in Chickenlandia. I just don't believe that. So the vet was like, we got the stool sample, but I don't really know what to tell you. And the vet was like really honest with me, which I absolutely appreciate. I don't like it when vets have, or doctors for that matter, have like this God complex where they can't say, I don't know what's going on. And instead they'll like tell you something that is like, oh, well, do this or do that. And they really just don't know what's going on. He was like, I really don't know what's going on, but maybe you should talk to your homeopath, like if you're using homeopathy and it's working for you, you should continue with that. And I just love that about my vet because he doesn't use homeopathy like he's a traditional vet, but he's like, if it works for you, do it. And so I did. I brought her home and I started with a homeopathic remedy called Nux vomica. Now, looking back at it, I probably should have done one called Arsenicum album. Now, these are homeopathics. They're not like the actual substance. They're not herbs. It is like energy medicine. There's no chance of them getting poisoned by these remedies because they're homeopathics. And if you want to learn more about homeopathy for chickens, I'll put a link in the description for you because I do talk about giving chickens homeopathics from time to time. But anyway, I was actually able to get Charlie pretty stable, but she still wasn't looking that great. And then, I'm dealing with all this, something else happens. That day, I am looking at my chicken Flo, and Flo is a chicken that came from somewhere else. She was looking a little bit off. She was kind of shaking her head. She was kind of looking a little bit, kind of crooked a little bit, just like neurological stuff going on. And I'm like, what is going on? And by that night, she was really bad off. And so I had brought her inside and I was able to stabilize her with some homeopathy. I used a remedy called Hypericum with her, and that's for like nerve damage because she seemed to like be not able to hold her head up and stuff, and she seemed off. I was like, I just don't know, like, what is going on with my flock? And then I thought about all the mushrooms in our yard, like on our land. I came out into the chicken yard and I started looking. Sure enough, there were a few different species in the chicken yard. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I found this one white one that looked like it had some pecks. Someone had taken some pecks out of it, and there were a few of them. And I contacted a friend of mine. Her name is Rose. She's from a channel called Wholesome Roots. Great channel. Very, very knowledgeable lady. I absolutely love her. And I was like, look, what is going on? And she said, I think that mushroom, I showed her a picture of this white mushroom. And she's like, I think that might be Destroying Angel. Of course, I look up Destroying Angel. I'm like, okay, this is not good. So she told me, we don't know if that's what it is yet, but tonight I want you to do a spore test. So it involved me taking the head of the mushroom and putting it down on a dark piece of paper, and then putting it, covering it. I put it in a container, I covered it, and I left it overnight on that dark piece of paper. And she was like, if in the morning you lift it up and the spore print is white, then it's probably destroying angel. And so that's what I did, and let me show you the spore print. Ever since then, I have been out here every morning hunting for mushrooms and making sure that there are none of these suspected poison ones in my chicken yard. The other thing I did is use a product that I think really helped, and I'm going to tell you about it. So I don't know if you guys listen to my podcast. It's called Bach Talk, and I do occasionally do interviews. And recently I was interviewing a guy named Carson Ripstein. I instantly liked him, and he's from a company called Redmond. And you've probably heard of them. They have like Redmond Agriculture, and then they have Real Salt. And I have been using Real Salt for ages. I absolutely love it. I told him I'm a super fan. But anyway, I was talking to him, and he was telling me about this product that they have called the conditioner. And what it is bentonite clay. And it's got like minerals in it, and it's really good for chickens, and you can like mix it up with their feed. And he was telling me how it can help to move toxins out of their body. Now, he's talking to me, and he has no idea what is going on in Chickenlandia. If you listen to the podcast, you could probably like hear my wheels turning, because I said to him, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I am going to use this. And they had sent me a bag of it, and I just hadn't used it yet. And he was like, well, yeah, you should use it, And he wasn't claiming like it's gonna cure them or anything like that. But it's just like a layer of support for them to move toxins out of their body, and to also add some nutrients, like some good minerals into their body. So I did contact Redmond. I was like, do you guys want to sponsor this video? I'm gonna talk about your product and how it like genuinely helped me get through this. And they were like, yeah, we would love that. They're like super duper nice people. I love working for them. So full disclosure, this video is actually sponsored by Redmond, but I'm telling you this because it actually happened. Like, this is actually what happened. I started using that conditioner, and I don't know if my chickens had any further exposure, but it sure did feel good giving them something that, I was like, okay, if they do get exposed, this will hopefully help to move it out, and it'll also help to keep, just to support their bodies, give them some good nutrition. The one thing I do want to mention is that they actually don't have it packaged for chickens yet, and right now they're working on getting it packaged for chickens. So I will leave a link for you in the description, and you can also get like Real Salt products from that link, okay? And they gave me a coupon code too, so I'll put that in there too. So Flo was really struggling. And I started to think, do I need to put her down? Because I don't want her to suffer. I want her to have a good quality of life. She kind of surprised me, and she turned around a little bit, and, in case she's shedding some kind of virus or something like that, I don't keep her with my flock, but I keep her right next to my flock, and I spend a lot of time with her every day, and I'm getting really close with her, and I'm just cherishing the time that I have with her now. You're doing really good. Good girl. Good girl, you're doing really good, yeah. You're probably wondering about Charlie. She actually needed to go on antibiotics. Whatever happened, it caused some kind of infection, and now she's doing great. So I still have to keep an eye on her, but she's pretty happy. In Chickenlandia, we have the moment that we're in, and I am grateful right now that I still have Flo and I still have Charlie, and they're doing well right now. Okay, and everything's going good in Chickenlandia. So what about you? Have you had anything crazy happen in your chicken yard lately? This is definitely one of the craziest things that have ever happened. So tell me what you've got going on. I always love to hear it. And I also want you to know that you are always welcome in Chickenlandia.